fire happening, and it is in the Deer Park area, an industrial plant. We do know that it's Pemex. Taking a look at this map right now so you can get a good understanding of what we're looking at here and where it is. It is State Highway 225 near the Beltway, and it looks like that there is traffic in both the east and westbound direction. Also want to make note that there were at least 2 people who were injured in this explosion. We did also see from Deer Park ISD, we've been monitoring because there's so many parents who might be concerned if their child is still at school that they need to evacuate. But rest assured, Deer Park ISD has said that this fire has no impact on school operations since the city has not issued a shelter in place. And this was first reported around 2:54. So really, Caroline, it hasn't been that long, just an hour.
No, and I want to add that LaPorte Office of Emergency Management on their Twitter just stated that OEM is actively monitoring the fire north of 225 in Deer Park. We're in contact with Deer Park. We have no impacts are expected to impact LaPorte due to the widespread direction of this fire, the way that it's blowing. So the wind is actually doing some people a favor here, blowing in a direction where it's not impacting LaPorte. So emergency officials there are watching this closely. They'll issue a warning if anything becomes too dangerous. And also Sheriff Ed Gonzalez, Harris County Sheriff Ed Gonzalez, just reported that this is a multi-agency response. So there's a lot of people working to contain this right now.
Yes, and it's social media really where we're getting a lot of this information from officials. So you were talking about Sheriff Ed Gonzalez, and he said that since there are multiple agencies responding, it's the Harris County Fire Marshal's Office, which will be the lead. Unified Command is being established at this moment. Now you can see from Skyfox here that they are working on this fire. Now Deer Park ISD again saying that operations are normal for them. You were talking about wind direction, and that's one of the reasons why there's no shelter in place at the time, because it is going in the opposite direction of where the schools are located. And we also want to make note that we know at least 2 people have been injured in this explosion. It was preliminary reports, but it was around 2:55, 3 o'clock there. So it's been about an hour and we're still getting information in. And I really do encourage all of you to go ahead and download the Fox 26 News app, because it's the best way to get information on what we receive into our newsroom. Now, one of the very interesting things is on 225, I've been looking at Houston TransStar, and obviously when there's any type of fire or explosion or something that you can see from the highway, there might not be anything on the highway itself, but there is definitely going to be traffic buildup. Now we're looking at a map which you see in the center of your screen to give you a good idea of where this is. So we're looking at Beltway 8, State Highway 225. So again, Houston TransStar, if you look at the maps there, which I've already done for you, in the east and westbound direction, we're starting to see traffic build up. And this is a huge fire, so you're seeing smoke from miles and miles away. And in fact, Caroline, we were taking a look at the National Weather Service, who tweeted out their radar and said that they can even on their radar identify where this location is because of just all of the smoke that they're seeing.
And speaking of the National Weather Service, we want to bring in our meteorologist, Ramisha Shade. She is tracking what the weather is doing in that area. That's going to have a big impact on people in the area.
That's right. We are still monitoring this fire coming from Deer Park. Now we have our wind coming in from the south around 10 miles per hour. So basically that is taking that smoke plume from the south and shifting it to the north. But you can see Deer Park right here, and notice as I have the radar looping over the last hour that you kind of see a big burst of yellow quickly, and then it starts to push north towards Channel View. So that is the smoke plume that we're talking about. And of course it's massive, and you can definitely pick it up on our Fox Rad radar. You can see up here towards Gilbert Landing and Lynchburg, likely beginning to see some of that smoke. You can see that plume drifting off to the north. Once again, this is Deer Park here, and you can see we've got Tidal Road, and then we've got Channel View up here, and this will continue to be an issue as the wind is pretty breezy out there at times, around 10 to 15 miles per hour out of the south. So once again, it's coming out of the south, so it's going to be blowing this smoke plume up to the north, already reaching Channelview and also Gilbert Landing up towards the Highlands and Lynchburg and possibly western portions of Brownwood. So, of course, it is always amazing when you can pull up this technology. Our radar can pick up these smoke particles in the air, and you can see that once again over the last hour. I have our radar looping, and you can see that you've got that burst of yellow right there just to the north of Deer Park. You can see Link 5 here and Channelview up to the north. So we'll continue to monitor this, but definitely an interesting sight. Of course, this is a dangerous situation, but we will continue to track this smoke plume that we are clearly seeing exploding on our radar just to the north of Deer Park. That smoke plume will be traveling, as I mentioned, up towards the Channelview area. And of course, I'll continue to watch it. If I see anything else happening with this, I'll let you know. But once again, we've got the wind out of the south around 10 to 15 miles per hour. So that plume will be traveling from the south and shifting off to the north. Caroline, Rashi?
Yeah, thank you, Ramisha, for that breakdown. Definitely a concern for people living in the Channelview area as that dark black smoke continues to go up into the air and blow in that direction. This is taking place at what the Galena Park Fire Chief says is the Pemex plant. We're still waiting for officials on the ground to confirm everything to us at this point, but that is what we're hearing right now. This is impacting the area near 225 in the Beltway. We do have it located on the map. You can definitely see the smoke for miles. So if you're living in this area and the wind is blowing in your direction towards the Channelview area, this could be a problem. There are no orders to stay inside right now. However, looking at these pictures, you might want to be careful, especially if you have any sort of breathing problems. The air is going to get pretty rough as that wind continues to blow in that direction. This has been happening for over an hour now. There's multiple agencies on the ground. You can see them spraying water on this giant fire. It doesn't look like they're making much progress at this point, but we've been following this with these live pictures for over an hour now. So this really doesn't look like much progress has been made since then. We do know that 2 people have been injured. This is a very industrial area that you're looking at. This is images from Sky Fox that you are seeing right now.
So right now at this time, we are approaching 4 o'clock. You know that schools are over, but there might be some after school activities. We do know that Deer Park ISD is saying there's no shelter in place. This could not be affecting Deer Park because of the wind direction, but it could be affecting several other cities. So we're monitoring that as well. Now, something that you might notice that you see dark black smoke. So what does that indicate? Now, we don't have any official word yet, but we do know that black fire and black smoke that you see, usually petroleum products, rubber, many plastics will produce this black smoke. So what that means is this could be very hazardous in the public if you are in the direction of that wind. So it's something that might be toxic. And so we are just waiting to see if there is an official word of shelter in place. We do know that 2 people have been injured. Now, again, 4 o'clock being probably rush hour traffic time, and I've been monitoring the traffic as well. Now, 225, both directions, east and westbound, near Beltway 8, which is where this is at, and you can clearly see all of the smoke. That does have standstill traffic in both of the directions there, and you can see clearly with Skyfox that this is smoke that you're seeing for miles and miles. What is very concerning, just taking a look at this here, Caroline, is the fact that this could be spreading any toxic material, any toxic chemicals for so many miles, affecting so many homes. Obviously, you don't see homes in this area, but that doesn't mean that this is something that isn't affecting possibly your family, children, you know, later on as we approach the hours throughout the evening here. So we're waiting to hear from any officials. The only official that we have heard from is Galena Park Fire Chief, who did say that this is the Pemex plant.
But we're not sure exactly. We want to wait on confirmation for that.
Right. And he is saying that, oh, I do want to let you know that if it is the Pemex plant, we do know that it is state-owned by Mexico. It happened a few years ago. So it is a plant that we do know was evacuated. Now, again, all preliminary reports here what we do know clearly, there's a lot of traffic on 225. We also know that this is hazardous. Black smoke, just letting you know, it does indicate that it's some type of plastic, rubber, petroleum products. We don't know exactly what yet. So again, you can see all this black smoke here. You see the water. You see that there are crews that are trying to contain this smoke, and we're just waiting to hear any updates.
Well, if it does indeed turn out to be a Pemex plant, there was a fire reported at one of the Pemex locations in Deer Park back in March, on March 14th. So these plants, unfortunately, fires can happen here, and it poses a risk not only to the people who are working, but to the surrounding communities. This deep, dark, black smoke is billowing in the direction of channel view areas. So we want to make sure that if you're in the channel view area, you're aware that this smoke is blowing in your direction. And for people who might have issues with bad air quality, this could impact you. Right now, though, there's no official warning for a shelter in place or anything like that. It's something that officials are probably going to be monitoring. We'll keep an eye on and bring you that information as soon as we get it. But right now, multiple agencies are just working on containing these flames and probably figuring out exactly what is causing this smoke to be this deep and dark as it continues to spread throughout our communities. We do have a crew on the way, Sherman DeSalle and a photographer, so as soon as they get on the ground, they'll have better access to officials and hopefully learn some new information that we will certainly bring to you live on Fox 26 News at 5. And if we're still on the air in our live coverage, we will, of course, bring you that as soon as we learn anything. But for now, if you are headed in that direction, especially if you know, you're getting off work and you're traveling near 225 in the Beltway, east and westbound on the Beltway, there will probably be traffic. The air could be smoky. Just be careful if you are heading in that direction.
And if you are just joining us, we have been reporting live for you about this fire, which has first been reported around 2:54 by some crews that are on the scene there. Now, we do believe that it is the Pemex plant. This is state-owned by Mexico. We have not confirmed that yet. What we do know, possibly, again, preliminary reports, because there hasn't been any official word, is that there are 2 people who have been injured. We do not know the extent to the injuries. What we do know is that we're seeing thick black smoke. And like Caroline, we've been talking about, what does that mean? So it means that it's usually an abundance of petroleum products. So that is hazardous material. We haven't heard from Hazmat yet or know about any shelter in place. We do know in Deer Park they're not doing a shelter in place because the wind direction isn't going towards them. But that doesn't leave a lot of other areas out of the woods yet, so to speak. So looking at the map here, you can get a better idea of where we're looking at to get your perspective. Beltway 8, 225 east and westbound. You can see that there is actually heavy traffic there, and this is south of 225. This plant here, we are not sure if it is exactly the Pemex plant. It does look like that this explosion is coming from that area. Again, we do know that 2 people have been injured, and this can be seen from miles and miles away. People have been tweeting and also calling our newsroom, letting us know about this. What is this fire? What is happening? We're also waiting to learn all of the official details. What we do know is, again, no shelter in place that we know of yet, but it doesn't look like it's a good idea if you go outside and you're in the direction of the smoke, which is coming towards you, because black smoke is not good news. We don't know exactly what chemical we're working with here, but we haven't heard from Hazmat just yet.
Well, Harris County Sheriff Ed Gonzalez just tweeted that the fire marshal's office is leading the response efforts. The fire marshal's office is here leading these efforts, and there's multiple agencies responding to this issue right now. Sheriff Ed Gonzalez also sharing some photos and videos similar to the ones that you see now, but obviously from the roadway, that just look like you can see this smoke for miles. And based off what we're seeing, that is certainly the case. The wind is blowing in the direction of Channel View. If you live in that area, you're going to want to make sure that you might want to stay inside. There's no official shelter in place warning yet from city officials or anything like that, but this is deep, dark smoke billowing in that direction.
and this fire has been burning. We're going on, it was probably about a little over an hour now. So they're still trying to contain this fire. The longer that it takes to actually contain it, the more that this smoke is spreading. So we're also getting a look there, and that's why it's so important to know about wind direction, which I do know that our meteorologist Ramisha Shade has been closely monitoring, because that really impacts the residents there, which is what we, at the end of the day, we care about the people and what is happening with them and their health and their safety for your family and your children. So we do know that Galena Park officials say they believe that this fire was at the Pemex facility, and that facility is at 5900 State Highway 225. It is south of 225, east of Beltway 8. And we do know that they're still investigating what exactly led to this fire. They're actually right now trying to contain it, as you can see on the top right side of your screen there. And we have a map for you to give you a better perspective of where we're looking at location wise. Now, we do know that there have been at least 2 preliminary, again, reports of any injuries. Don't know the severity of those injuries. We do know that zooming out here with Sky Fox, you can see just how much smoke is in the air. Not just talking about how high, we're talking about also where it's going in direction east-west, north-south, where we're actually looking at here. Now, we do want to make note that this is something that we're constantly monitoring, and you can see here on Sky Fox, we're further away, zoomed out so that you can see what we are looking at. Now, what cities this affects, we're not sure yet, but obviously this is going to be a huge radius from what we're looking at here, from possibly the Pemex facility that we're seeing there. Again, black smoke does not mean anything. That's probably good news. Probably a chemical. We don't know what chemical yet. We don't know what plastic, but we do know that this is probably hazardous if it is going in your direction. We know it's not in the direction of Deer Park. And I know we will be speaking with meteorologist Ramisha Shade on exactly which direction we're seeing the wind. Also, National Weather Service saying that they have detected this on their radar, just to show you how massive this fire is. So something, Caroline, that we continue to monitor. Again, downloading our Fox 26 News app is the best way to get your up-to-date information. Palm of your hands. Also turn on the TV so you have, that 2-screen experience.
And our live stream also is available on the app and on our website, fox26houston.com. We are going to be staying with you, though. I do want to reiterate that the city of Deer Park has no shelter-in-place order right now. The city says that they are aware of this industrial fire north of Highway 225, and the city is staying in communication with Shell Deer Park as they conduct air monitoring of this area, and that's going to be important, the air quality in this area. You're going to want to pay attention to that. So we have marked there on the map where this is happening. Now you're seeing some video of what is coming in from the scene. Pretty aggressive fire just blowing out of that industrial area, again, near 225 and Beltway 8. So if you are in that direction, make sure that you're being careful as the smoke is blowing. This could impact traffic as emergency vehicles head that way.
Yeah, I'm trying to also scour through everything on social media, because that seems to be how a lot of information is being sent to the media to disperse to the public. So we do want to make note, again, if you are just joining us, that this is a huge fire. You can see traffic is still moving, which is good, around the area, but we have received so many calls and so many messages about this fire. So we do know that there is a huge scope when it comes to how far you're seeing the smoke, which is also very concerning, because we don't know what chemical we are right now dealing with that is in the air, which could be hazardous. So something that we are continuing to monitor. This was first reported around 2:54. Again, Deer Park area there, and everyone has been evacuated from the plant. This is according to preliminary reports. The sheriff saying that there was some type of explosion. Sheriff Ed Gonzalez there. So crews on the way, and they are currently battling this fire. We have our crew on the scene, and we'll be speaking with them pretty soon. And we'll also be hearing from meteorologist Ramisha Shade about the wind direction, what she is seeing. We do know that this is currently blowing north and northeast from the Deer Park area. And that is very important information because this gives us a good idea of, Caroline, what cities and what locations, what residences, stores, where people need to be very cautious, because right now the wind is blowing north by northeast from the Deer Park area. So if you do take a look at the map here, which I'm trying to do, you can see that north and northeast would really be a lot of the Channel View area, and might even be going all the way to Lynchburg as well. So yes, and
I do want to put out too, according to our digital team, CARE has reported that there's no fire at Pemex Deer Park units. However, our emergency response team is providing aid to another company that is located on site. So again, we're still looking for that official confirmation as to which plant is exactly on fire in this area. So we will keep you updated on that, but we do know it's some sort of industrial refinery fire in the Deer Park area.
Yes, and we have been attributing that it's the Pemex plant to Galena Park officials.
Right.
So they have been the ones that they have been saying. Now,
okay,
we have confirmation, I believe, that it is Shell Deer Park. Shell Deer Park is where this explosion is coming from, not Pemex, which was the preliminary report there. So Shell Deer Park. And we're just
they're all located in a very close.
Yes, and right now you're looking at video from earlier.
This is live.
Okay, this is live.
These are live images right now. We'll get back to these in just a minute. Looks like our crews are a lot closer than we were before. Let's bring in meteorologist Ramisha Shade with how the wind is going to impact this fire.
Well, I've been tracking this big black smoke plume from Deer Park, basically going from the southwest to the northeast. We've got our wind coming in from the south to southwest around 10 miles per hour. So that is basically blowing the smoke plume up to the north and northeast. So I want to show you Deer Park on the map there. You can see Channel View north of Deer Park, and I have the radar kind of looping over the last hour, and you can see where briefly you'll see some bright yellows and even oranges show up. That is the smoke plume making its way off to the north and northeast. So already impacting a big chunk of Channel View, crossing Interstate 10, also over towards Lynchburg, Gilbert Landing, and the Highlands area. So if you live in any of those areas, you are going to be impacted by this, and you certainly need to try to stay indoors if possible, especially if you have any respiratory issues. Let's go to Randy Wallace. He's got more on what's happening.
Yeah, we're right here, as you can see, right here at the plant. Behind me is all the, let me move out of the way. You can see all of the emergency vehicles here. You can also see the smoke. There's still a lot of billows of black smoke. Now, we just got here and we've yet to get any kind of official word on anything, but we do know that apparently Shell is out here doing air monitoring. They're monitoring the air to see if there's any impact with that. As far as we know, there's not a shelter in place at this point. Now, early on, we heard that there were possibly a couple of injuries. Now, unfortunately, we don't know anything about that. Again, we just got out here, and you can see all the fire apparatus. You can see the sheriff's department is out here, law enforcement is out here, and it does appear that the smoke is getting a little lighter. Would you say so, Chandler? I mean, I think it has. Now, when we first got out here, you could really see the flames, and I'm gonna walk over to the other side here real quick to see if I can see any. But right now, from our vantage point, I don't see any flames, and that was not the case when we were driving over here on the Beltway close to 225. We could really see the flames and a lot more smoke, a lot more dense smoke and darker smoke. So apparently it looks like maybe that's good news that the smoke isn't quite as bad as it was. Again, we haven't gotten any kind of official word out here. We just got out here, and we're at probably the closest vantage point that we could be at this point. We were across the street, and they asked us to come over here, so of course we did. But we're, as you can see, very close to the action here, and we will keep right on top of this, and whenever we get any new information, we will, of course, give it to you. Reporting live, Randy Wallace, Fox 26 News.
Okay, Randy, thank you so much for that live report. Now, if we can go back to Skyfox, we are learning some new information. If we take a look right here, actually you can see ground video, and on the top right side of your screen you can see the plumes of smoke still billowing in the sky there. And want to make note and let you know that Shell did we did contact them, and that the environmental duty representative at Shell Deer Park says that they're currently experiencing the fire within one of their units. The incident is being handled within the boundaries of the facility, and there's no threat to the community from this incident. They apologize for any inconvenience that this may cause. Now, this is live video that you are taking a look at right now. Now, while they may say that there is no threat to the community from this incident, we haven't heard about what it means for all of those folks who are either in Channelview, Lynchburg, or Baytown, which is in the northeast direction from where this fire currently is, because all that smoke is blowing and we don't know what kind of chemicals that we're dealing with, and if this is something to be concerned about if you actually breathe it in, especially for those who are immunocompromised and might have breathing issues to begin with. So we do want to make note also that Houston Fire Department did tweet out on Twitter saying that they're currently at the scene of this chemical plant fire, so they are providing some aid because of just how large this fire is currently. So it is multi-units that are responding currently to this, and we do have several people, viewers, thank you to the viewers who are sending a lot of information, and they are also sending videos and pictures. Again, this was first reported around 2:54, and we have confirmed that this is the plant that is the Shell Deer Park plant. Again, they are continuing to experience a fire within one of their units. Now, this incident being handled within the boundaries of this facility, and I can also tell you that from these live pictures, it looks pretty scary. This fire just keeps going, and it's now from 2:54, now 4:19, so we're going on what, almost 2 hours now.
Yeah, definitely. The Harris County fire marshals are leading this investigation, but like Rashi mentioned, there are multiple agencies, including the Harris County Fire Department, or the Houston Fire Department rather, on scene helping. This is going to take a lot of people to get under control right now. We've been looking at these images of the water being sprayed onto the fire. These are live right now. I mean, it doesn't look much different than when we first started bringing you this coverage. The smoke is blowing just as heavy. Of course, that smoke is blowing northeast from the Deer Park area. Definitely, if you're in the Channelview area or areas around that, you're going to want to monitor the air quality. As of right now, Deer Park officials do not have a shelter-in-place order underway, so there are actually no shelter-in-place orders underway at this time. We do have people who are monitoring that air quality. We do not know what type of chemical may be on fire here, but look at how dark that smoke is. Yeah, there's got to be something that's making it that dark and that heavy and that thick. So it'll be interesting to see what we learn as we do learn more about this fire. 2 people are injured. We do know that. If you are driving near Beltway 8 and 225 heading in that direction, please be careful. This is where this fire is happening. We don't know how much this smoke is impacting visibility right now on the roads, but I could see it becoming dangerous for drivers or just with emergency vehicles trying to get here. That could cause some traffic backup. So please be careful. Also, just, you know, it's something you're going to see and want to turn and look at. So be careful if you are in that area.
I think the thing that's most concerning for people, viewers right now, is where all of this smoke is going. So we know that it's been almost 2 hours now, and the smoke, no matter how high it is, which of course we can see on our radar, it's more of the direction and where all of this smoke is headed. Now you can see that this smoke is black, dark black, and we want to remind you that usually that's when plastics or rubber or petroleum products are right now burning. So we just need to know what it is and then know what is going to happen, and that's precisely probably what officials are looking at right now, trying to figure out, even though the facility has said that this is not a threat to the public, and we're talking about, again, Shell Deer Park. I know that before there were preliminary reports of it was a neighboring plant, but it is not. It is Shell Deer Park, and we have heard from them. They say, the environmental duty representative, that is, that they're experiencing fire within one of the units, and it looks like it is not contained right now. And we do want to make note that if you do work at or near the plant and you would like to contact us, you can always do that on our newsroom, which is 713-471-2801. And we would love to hear from you and what you are seeing, because we do have reporters on the scene right now, but we also want to know what's happening from your vicinity, because a lot of times our viewers are our eyes and ears from the ground, because they just happen to be at a specific location when something tragic like this happens, and we are only able to get as far as investigators will allow us. So if you do want to tell us about your account and what you are seeing, I do recommend that you call our newsroom. Again, that number, not sure if we can put that up on the screen at some point, 713-479-2801, and we'll be sure to speak with you about what you are seeing, what you've been hearing. We do know just factual information that this has been burning since 2:55, and the wind direction is northeast. So we're really concerned about the folks that are in the Channelview, Lynchburg, Baytown area. Again, we know that Deer Park ISD, all saying there's no shelter in place. Of course, the wind is going in the opposite direction for them, which is good news for them. But what about all these other folks? So these are answers that we are currently looking for.
You can also get in touch with us by tweeting or messaging our social media pages at Fox 26 Houston on social media. We would love if you work at this facility or you are nearby to give us any information that you are learning at this time. We also do have an email address. It's fox26houstonnews@fox.com. That's fox26houstonnews@fox.com. If you know anything, if you work here or in the area, you have pictures, you have video, you have information that we may not be getting from these images, please send it over. We will put it on air and get that message out to the rest of our viewers who are concerned at this time, because we don't really know how bad this situation is right now. Again, this is the Shell Deer Park facility that you're looking at. We're going on almost 2 hours of this fire. This fire broke out just before 3 o'clock today, about 2:55. This fire started. The building obviously evacuated. 2 people are injured. Firefighters are working to get a handle on it, but we do have heavy smoke blowing northeast from Deer Park.
Yes, and we do want to make note also that the Houston Chronicle is reporting that the facility is shared by the Mexican oil company Pemex and Shell Chemicals. And a Pemex official said in the incident was actually on the Shell side. So I know that it's been very confusing, because we've been saying, is it Pemex? Is it Shell Chemicals? What's happening? So according to the Houston Chronicle, they say that the facility is shared by the Mexican oil company Pemex and Shell Chemicals. And a Pemex official said in the incident was on the Shell side. Now, Shell officials confirming via the community alert system that a fire was contained on their side of the plant. So Houston Chronicle reporting that it was contained is good news there. We're trending in the positive direction, where we are looking at this fire being contained, while if you look at the images, still looks very large, very big. But again, want to make note, Houston Chronicle is saying that this facility is shared by the Mexican oil company Pemex and Shell Chemicals, and Shell officials are confirming that the fire is contained on their side of the plant. So that is good news, Caroline, in terms of hopefully this fire being put out pretty soon, and all of the smoke not going in the direction to where it could be harmful to our viewers and to our residents.
Yeah, I'm just seeing a tweet now by the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality on Twitter here. They're saying that their staff is responding to the industrial fire in Deer Park, and they have deployed air monitoring assets from the Houston, Beaumont, and Austin offices to support this local response. So they are targeting the air quality. So we're hoping to have an update on that as soon as possible. Again, you can see that this smoke is blowing in the northeast direction of Deer Park. So that's going to become a big concern for residents living in that direction. If you do have any problems with air quality or breathing, you might want to stay inside, but as of right now, there are no shelter in place orders in place right now. So far, you are good to go about your day, but this fire continuing to burn and smoke continuing to blow in the direction north and northeast of Deer Park. Multiple agencies are on the scene right now. We also have reporters and camera crews there. You are looking at live images right now of this fire. It seems like crews are kind of attacking it from different directions. You can see the fire hoses being sprayed on the fire from different areas. One area looks like is really on fire, and then there looks like some smaller areas that they're trying to get control over. But again, this is the Shell Deer Park facility. It's a facility that's shared by Pemex,
yes.
And the Houston Chronicle just reported that. So we want to make sure you kind of understand that it's two facilities, but it's shared. So
yes.
This is on the Shell side.
And one of my sources showing me just some pictures and videos saying that actually there's so many workers around the parking lot just looking at this fire thinking, oh my gosh, I can't believe that this happened. And so it's just really astonishing to see really the place you work and this explosion happening. So there are workers right now around the area. I can tell you that one of them doesn't want to be named, but says that they had no idea something like this would have happened, could have been happening, and they're just looking at the fire right now and really stunned themselves. And there are preliminary reports of 2 people who are injured. Now, if you are one of those workers, someone that is employed by them there, or you are just a viewer and you're looking at this, you can always call us. We would love to speak with you. I know we've given out our phone number. It's 713-479-2801. The other thing is we are very active on our social media. So you look at any of our Fox on any of our digital platforms, you can reach us there, and we have a web team that is currently monitoring this and always does, but I'm saying that specifically for this story that we've been bringing live to you since it began around 2:55. We're going on almost 2 hours of this smoke. Now, the good news is that Shell is saying, the Shell Deer Park complex, saying that the fire there is contained. So we still, like you see on the top right side of your screen, seeing some fire. We are definitely seeing a lot of smoke. And since this is going on for so long, Caroline, it just seems like this is really spreading. And since it is thick black smoke, that is so concerning because we don't know which chemical is in the air currently.
Yeah, definitely something that is going to be investigated. As soon as we learn that information, we'll make sure to bring it to you. Again, we do have multiple crews on the scene working to bring you more information on this developing story. And we don't have a whole lot of information, but we have learned a lot more since this fire started about just over an hour and a half ago. Multiple crews are fighting this fire. This fire is being led by the Harris County Fires Marshal, so they'll be investigating for sure. There's agencies that are checking into the air quality and trying to figure out what possible toxins might be releasing into the air right now. We have been keeping tabs on the weather and the wind, and we can tell you that it is blowing in the north or northeast direction from Deer Park. So people in the Channel View areas and areas surrounding that, this might be a concern for you. This is located near Beltway 8 and 225. So if you're headed in that direction, or if you live in that direction, might want to expect delays. Be careful driving. We know that multiple agencies are responding. That means that there's going to be a lot of emergency vehicles in the area. People are going to be turning their heads from the roadways, looking at this smoke. Just be careful if you're driving. And this looks like this is going to be a situation for hours and hours to come as that black smoke continues to billow out of this Shell Deer Park facility. It's a facility that is shared by Pemex. So 2 different companies here kind of sharing one facility. This fire is on the Shell Deer Park side.
Yes.
The employees have been evacuated, and we're hearing from people who are on the scene right now that there are just tons of people who worked in that plant just standing there watching this plant on fire, saying that they can't believe that this is happening right now. Our reporters are also there working to bring us more information, and it's 4:30 right now. This fire began around 2:55, so this is
been going on for
we're going on 2 hours.
Now, we do know that LaPorte Office of Emergency Management says that they are actively monitoring the fire, and they say there's no impacts expected in LaPorte. Again, that's LaPorte, because of the widespread wind direction. Now, this wind direction is expected to remain relatively the same throughout the afternoon. That is, again, according to LaPorte Office of Emergency Management. So we will be checking in to see what this means specifically. Caroline, we're really concerned about Channelview. We're concerned about Lynchburg and also Baytown residents in that area, just because of what it means air quality wise, since all of this widespread smoke is in the area. And you can see that there are ambulances on the top right side of your screen, emergency crews there. Now, we don't know if there are any extensive injuries. We do know that this is something that was unexpected, obviously, and it is really shocking for many of the workers who are currently the employees standing in the parking lot and looking and seeing what is happening. Now, we do know that Sheriff Ed Gonzalez did say that there is going to be a media staging area at a specific location. So I am assuming that that means that we will hopefully have a media update or update to the media about any official information, and hopefully the offices of emergency management in the specific cities in the suburbs there and the areas that we are concerned about will be able to tell us what the air quality is, because that is something that we're currently monitoring and really concerned about.
Yeah, right now the environmental duty representative at the Shell Deer Park facility says that they're currently experiencing a fire, obviously, within one of our units. The incident is being handled within the boundaries of this facility, and there is no threat to the community for this incident. We apologize for any inconvenience this may cause, but no threat, maybe meaning no danger, but certainly the air quality is going to be of a concern, and obviously we don't know what chemicals are being burned into the air right now, and that smoke billowing into dozens of communities northeast of Deer Park. So it's definitely still a concern for the community, but no imminent danger. They don't believe there's no imminent danger right now. There's no shelter in place orders in place right now by any of these cities, but it's certainly something that's going to catch your eye. Seeing this deep, dark smoke at an industrial plant obviously is a big concern for people living here. So as soon as we find out more on what exactly is on fire, burning into the air, we'll definitely let you know.
Yes, and we do know, according to the Houston Chronicle, and we're also getting this confirmed by other officials, that the fire is at a Shell plant, which is shared by Pemex. And of course, we did also hear from Shell and the Shell plant, the people that are over there. Now, we do need to let you know that excuse me, that Shell plant at Deer Park did say that they're experiencing this fire, but that the facility and the fire is no threat to the community. And obviously air quality is the #1 thing that we're concerned about right now for our viewers. They did say, we apologize for any inconvenience that this may cause. Again, if you are just tuning in, it is 4:35 on this Friday afternoon, and we are taking a look at an explosion that happened around 2:55, and we do know that this is a fire at a Shell plant, which is shared by Pemex, which is state-owned by Mexico. And we do know that there are a lot of people around the area that are looking at this fire, many of them employees. We have crews on the scene. We do know that the wind is going in the northeast direction, and this is important because you see black smoke here, and that black smoke means that there are some chemicals being burned into the air, which could cause bad air quality and be hazardous to residents in the area. Now, if you take a look at this Deer Park area and you look at a map, then you can see that it's Channelview, Baytown, Lynchburg. Those are the areas that we are very concerned about. And, you know, Caroline, we've seen not just firefighters and emergency crews from all over the area come. We do know that there's also ambulances, so that just leads to believe that there may be possibly some other injuries.
Absolutely. Well, just fighting a fire this massive can be dangerous for those first responders, and we don't know what they're breathing in at this point, but we do have a crew live on the scene. We will get to them as soon as they have some new information for us. But right now, Deer Park officials are saying that at this time, Shell Deer Park is advising that a shelter in place is not necessary at this time. As information arises, they'll provide updates to social media accounts and on the city website, obviously. But, you know, looking at the smoke and the color of it, it makes you wonder what exactly is being burned into the air and blowing into the areas north and northeast from Deer Park. It's absolutely something that is concerning for people. Multiple agencies, though, working to put this fire out. Again, like we just mentioned, certainly dangerous for those crews on the ground right now. So we hope, you know, everyone stays safe. There's employees who are working at this facility who were evacuated, obviously, from this burning building, who were apparently standing outside just watching this happening in disbelief is what we're hearing. So again, this smoke still just blowing into the air, thick, dark, black smoke, definitely going to have an impact on the air quality as the wind blows in the north and northeast direction. You are looking at some live images right now, but we do want to go to our meteorologist, Ramisha Shade, who is going to be monitoring the impacts.
That's right. I've been monitoring this smoke plume that our FoxRad radar was able to detect and pick up. And you can see over the last couple of hours, not really much of anything showing up on the radar. Then all of a sudden, that big explosion of yellow and even a little bit of orange showing that smoke plume, some of those particles from that smoke showing up on our radar. This started right around Deer Park, and with the wind coming in out of the south to southwest around 10 miles per hour, that means it's blowing from the southwest to the northeast. So that means the smoke plume moving away from Deer Park, but it pushed right over Channelview and is still impacting that area right now, and it will continue to move on off to the north and east. So certainly, if you are in Channelview or any other cities close to Channelview, certainly make sure that if you have respiratory issues, you are taking precautions. Try to stay indoors if you can, because there could be some toxic chemicals in that smoke. We're not 100% sure of that. No shelter in place orders just yet, but you just certainly want to be safe at this point. Here's a look at our current wind. And as I mentioned, we've got wind coming in out of the south to southwest, close to 10 miles per hour, around 5 to 10 miles per hour. So no strong wind out there at this point. And as we check out our wind speeds and our wind gusts, no gusts showing up for the Houston area, but we definitely have that wind blowing from the southwest to the northeast. So that smoke plume will continue to travel off to the north and east of the Deer Park area. So here are a few tips that I put together. Of course, as I just mentioned, still no official shelter in place order for any of these locations, but you may be sensitive to just smoke in general. You may have some respiratory issues. You may have asthma or other issues. And you certainly need to be extra careful with all that smoke if it is heading in your direction. So if this smoke plume is headed towards you, definitely it's a good idea to stay inside, especially if you have those respiratory issues. You may want to go walk around your house and check and make sure that all of your doors are closed, all of your windows are closed, and you may want to try to seal those windows if you have some of that thick smoke headed your way. Also, you probably don't want to do this for too long, but you may want to temporarily shut off that AC to try to keep as much of that smoke out of your house or out of your building as possible. But with temperatures in the low 90s out there, you can't do that for too long, but hopefully this will pass. But for now, these are just some things that you can do to try to stay safe as that smoke plume, that thick, dark black smoke plume, continues to track from the southwest to the northeast, from the Deer Park area up towards Channelview, and the majority of it likely staying just west of Baytown, but some of that smoke could even make it into Baytown as well. So we're certainly monitoring things closely. I'll keep tracking it on our radar, and I'll have more for you coming up later.
All right, Ramisha, thank you for that update. Again, you are looking at where the Shell Deer Park facility is on fire. We are going on almost 2 hours of a massive fire at this plant. It is the Shell Deer Park facility. It's near Beltway 8 and 225. You can see it located right there on your map. The Harris County Fire Marshals and several other agencies are currently there battling these massive flames coming out of this facility. You can see the smoke billowing for miles and miles away. Ramisha just said that smoke is blowing north of Deer Park. So if you live in the areas north of Deer Park, like Channelview or any of those areas, you definitely want to make sure that your windows are shut and that you're being careful if you are outside and you have issues with bad air quality. There is currently no shelter-in-place order for people at this time in these areas. And again, we're going on 2 hours of this, so hopefully there's a good reason why there's no shelter-in-place order. We are hearing from people who are monitoring the air quality with the Shell Deer Park facility, and they're saying that there's no threat to the community at this time. There's no need for a shelter in place. But we do know that 2 people were injured in this fire.
It was preliminary reports that they were injured. And I think that it was because there were people on the ground that were saying that. So we're still trying to figure out who exactly is injured, if there are any injuries. And we did see ambulances that were coming up to the actual facility there, just from what we were looking at. But again, preliminary reports did indicate that there were a couple of people who were injured, and that's what was being reported also by some official. But again, we do not have the exact number or if there are any. Now, what we do know is that there is going to be some sort of possibly media briefing, because Sheriff Ed Gonzalez did tweet out an area for media to be at, and we do have crews that are on the scene currently. So we're going on almost 2 hours of this fire, and we have heard from the Office of Emergency Management from LaPorte, and they say that there is no concern for them. But of course, this smoke is going in the northeast direction from Deer Park. So, you know, if you're looking at LaPorte or Deer Park, really, that's not an area to be as concerned about as in the direction of northeast. So something that we are looking at now. We do want to make sure that you are able to download our Fox 26 News app. I can tell you that there are so many pictures from viewers coming in and all this information that is currently being sent into our newsroom. So you get all the updates. Obviously, we will tell you that online as well, but you can also on TV and broadcast, and also online and our social media pages as well. So the Fox 26 News app really is the best way to get all of this information. One-stop shop. You can sign up for the alerts and you'll get those as well. And this can obviously be very concerning for a lot of people that are living in the radius of where this wind is blowing. And you can see that it doesn't look like, even though that the Shell Deer Park plant did say that this fire is contained, doesn't look like the smoke is stopping anytime soon. So that's a concern.
Yeah, and the preliminary reports also did mention that there was some sort of an explosion that led to this fire. But again, that was very initial reports. We still don't know the exact cause of this fire, nor do we know what type of chemicals may be on fire or why the smoke is so dark. From this angle, it looks like the smoke is letting up a little bit, but I mean, it still looks really, really bad.
Okay, well, we do want to let you know that Harris County Precinct 2 Commissioner Adrian Garcia has issued a statement. This giving us some information here. Says, my office has been in touch with the Office of Emergency Management, and we have also personally spoken with the plant manager at the facility that has been burning. In addition, the fire marshal and Harris County Pollution Control are on site, and we've been assured that the situation is under control. All employees at the facility have been accounted for. We urge people to avoid the area to make room for emergency response. There is no shelter in place currently in effect. Our CAMP, which is the Community Air Monitoring Program dashboard, is operational, and we expect air quality data to start rolling in shortly. Houston Advanced Research Center, HARC, will provide additional guidance on air quality as needed. As we learn more, we will be sure to share those updates. We don't know the cause of the fire, but a Harris County Fire Marshal investigation will begin as soon as this fire is out. Pollution control will also remain in the area to continue air monitoring in the days ahead. So like we've been saying and concerned about, it's the air monitoring, the air quality that is going to be updated, and something that we will be updating as well for you on our website and also on air. So the community dashboard, you can see something that we're looking at here. It's called CAMP. It's the Harris County Pollution Control. So you can see how good or bad the air quality is at the time. Right now, it looks like, I mean, I can tell you the numbers, but they don't really mean anything to you until you actually look at the map and the code and everything, and they're all normal. It says good, but that doesn't mean that's been updated yet. So we will continue to monitor that. This was last updated, there we go, at 2:04, which was before this fire. So like the, just like we were just told that this is going to get updated. So I'm wondering what that will mean. And we will definitely put that out there. Again, that's from Harris County, and that's their air pollution quality control that they look at there. So again, Deer Park Office of Emergency Management says that for them, there's no shelter in place, and air monitoring is currently being conducted.
And obviously other counties chiming in far from this area. Even the Galveston County on Twitter is saying that they're monitoring their air quality. So this is certainly something that can infect really our entire viewing area. So we definitely want to get some answers as to, you know, what is on fire here and what could be potentially leaking into the air. It's
Yes.
Deep, dark, black smoke. We're almost at the 2-hour mark. We're moments away from 2 hours of this burning, multiple crews on scene, and it doesn't appear like this is going to be under control anytime soon based off of what we've been watching here for the past almost 2 hours. So again, the Harris County Precinct 2, as Rashi just mentioned, are in touch with the Office of Emergency Management. They talked to the plant manager, the fire marshal, and Harris County Pollution Control, and they are making sure that the community is safe. They have been assured that the situation is under control and that all of the employees at the facility have been accounted for. So they're just urging people to avoid the area at this point. But that's great news that all the people in this facility have been accounted for. That's the best thing that I took away from that update, is that everyone has been accounted for. Originally, we did report, we were hearing that there were some injuries, but right now it's looking good.
Yes, it does look good. And the other big thing, takeaway, according to Harris County Precinct 2 Commissioner Adrian Garcia in his statement, is that this is accounted, they're not just only accounted for, but the situation is now under control. So we should be seeing this smoke not billowing as much in the coming hours. But like he said, that it's air quality, and that is something that's going to be monitored for days to come, just because of how far and widespread the wind has pushed all of this smoke. And we're looking at black smoke here, which can be dangerous. Now, what is it burning? Is it burnt carbon? What are we looking at? That's something still that we are trying to confirm for you. But we do have confirmed, again, according to Precinct 2 Commissioner with Harris County, Adrian Garcia, that this is under control. All employees have been accounted for, and currently there is no shelter in place, but they are going to be updating the air quality. They have a dashboard, which we will also be monitoring. I just looked at it right now on my phone, and it hasn't been updated since 2:04. So that was before this explosion happened, which was at 2:55. So we're going on almost a 2-hour mark now, and you can clearly see a lot of smoke. So it can be concerning to so many people. And I can't tell you how many of our viewers, and we thank you for sending in pictures, for sending in videos. We're seeing them. I'm seeing them on my phone. We have in internal communication, which we're looking at all of them as well to get a better idea and to share what we are seeing as well. And the great thing is that if you do have our Fox 26 News app, you can see a lot of these that we are uploading as well on our web story, which is currently on our website, fox26houston.com. Now, Deer Park Office of Emergency Management saying, like we have reported, and LaPorte and Galveston, no shelter in place. But if you take a look, they are not in the direction of the wind, which is blowing the smoke north and northeast there. So that is going to be the communities of Channelview, Lynchburg, and Baytown that we're currently concerned about. Now, if we have the map, we can show that as well to give you a better perspective of where this incident is taking place. So it is State Highway 225 and Beltway 8. There we go there. So you can see that in the east side of town there, and the current air quality is what we are looking for, and hopefully it's going to be not as bad as what it looks like to the naked eye, because you look at smoke and you think that the quality is going to be pretty bad, especially because it is dark black smoke. And we are going on 2 hours of this fire happening. Now, the Shell actual Deer Park plant has said that this fire is under control. It was in 1 unit. And we also know, according to the Houston Chronicle, that it was the Pemex and Shell Deer Park. They share a facility. It was on the Shell side. So the good news is that this is under control and all employees have been accounted for. And our meteorologist, Ramisha Shade, as well as the National Weather Service here in Houston, has said that this smoke plume from this fire is visible, in fact, on the radar. So this is showing up on the radar. That's just how giant and heavy this smoke plume is, that it is picking up on the radar. Ramisha's done a great job kind of explaining what areas are most at risk and the direction that the wind is blowing. It's northeast from Deer Park, Baytown areas, Channelview areas. Those are the areas that will probably be impacted the most based on how the wind is blowing. However, in a situation like this, a large area is impacted, and if you do have any issues, you are going to want to keep an eye on that air quality. And again, we still don't know exactly what may be in this smoke, what may be burning. Preliminary reports said that there was an explosion that caught this fire, but we don't know those details yet. We do know that there has been a media area set up, so we're hoping that that means, you know, we'll get a media briefing by an official who knows the details of this situation. But right now, we still, 2 hours in, only have the information that we have. So we don't know exactly how this fire was started and what may be on fire, but in an industrial area like this, it definitely is a concern. Multiple agencies are monitoring the air quality right now. They're saying it's not a danger to the public. There are no shelter-in-place areas, but this is the Shell Deer Park facility that you are looking at if you are just joining in. This is near Beltway 8 and 225. This is going on 2 hours. Actually, we're pretty much at the 2-hour mark right now. As to when this fire broke out, we just learned that every employee at this facility has been accounted for. Yes, that's huge news. Right. The Texas Commission on Environmental Quality and multiple fire department agencies, including from Deer Park, Houston, Harris County, and Pemex, they're all responding to this fire. Now, we also know that a representative from Shell reported that there is no threat to the community, and we are getting a look where Skyfox is moving around to let us see exactly what is going on. And you can clearly see that there have been fire crews that have been trying to put out this fire. On the right side of your screen, you still see an active fire going on, and then you just see a lot of dark black smoke. So what is the chemical that's currently burning? That is something that we are currently trying to confirm, because it definitely seems like something is burning. But we're going to toss it out right now live, I believe, to Sherman DeSell, one of our reporters. He's on the scene and has been gathering some new information. Sherman, if you're ready, if you can hear me and you're ready, what can you tell us at this point?
Hey, yeah, sorry, I didn't realize you guys were going to be calling to me so soon, but it's live television, right? So I'm actually right here in the neighborhood on the other side of this plant fire, a little bit further south from where Randy Wallace is. And, you know, some people were already watching Fox 26, and that's what brought them outside. A lot of them weren't even aware that it was happening outside. But the good thing is most of them don't seem to be worried too much about it. When we first got here, we ran into a man named Charles. He says he's been a resident here for 61 years. So you can imagine the amount of plant fires and emergencies that he's seen just along this highway off of 225. He says overall he's not too concerned about it, and this is nothing compared to what he's seen in years past. He said that this highway, this stretch of highway right behind me, has usually been closed at times. The ITE fire that they referred to, a couple of residents told me. I spoke to another resident, a woman and her son. They both said that this is pretty tame compared to what could have been. There's actually a woman who lives right next to where we are. Her name is Miss Susie. She says she's not too worried about it either. I'm going to get out of the way so you can see what neighbors are running into. So they're coming up here right next to the service road, and they're trying to get an idea of what's going on. Let me tell you, though, it's pretty loud. I'm actually using a different set of headphones just because it's pretty loud, just the flames going up, and you can tell that there's been some extinguishing going on. The smolder is not as nearly as big as it once was when we got here about 30 minutes ago. Overall, the residents are not too concerned. They said the traffic's still flowing. We saw a couple of Deer Park police officers who came over just to check and see how things were going. We told them we haven't seen anything or been concerned about anything. They actually got a couple of calls. Looks like someone didn't necessarily want us out here. They got a call about a man in a blue polo shirt and another guy in a burgundy shirt. That describes me and my photographer, Matthew, to the T. But we weren't arguing, folks. We were actually getting along pretty well. So, you know, there might not be a lot of people who out here. They just want to live their lives. Clearly, a lot of the people in this neighborhood, they're used to seeing this type of thing, and they're not too worried about it. Back to you.
Herman, if you can hear me, I just want to ask you, what does it smell like in that area?
You know what? I actually don't smell anything. Matthew, do you? No. It does seem to be a little warmer over here than it would be in a different part of the area. We're starting to get a little breeze, so it's starting to cool down just a little bit. That was the first thing that I noticed, was just how humid it was, and I feel like that's related to the amount of heat that we're seeing just from across the highway. So we don't smell anything, and that's a good question, Caroline, because I was asking some residents if they were concerned about any environmental type of damages or potentials. And they said they're not worried about that either.
All right, thank you so much, Sherman, for that information. And it really is interesting to just see that smoke billowing behind you, because he's obviously pretty far away from where this is all happening, near Beltway 8 and 225 at the Shell Deer Park plant. So just to see that far away, and now you're taking a look at our live Skyfox pictures that's been showing us these live images for the past 2 hours now, well, over 2 hours. So we have been on air bringing you this coverage, and we want to encourage you to download the Fox 26 News app and follow all of our Fox 26 News accounts on social media. That's where you're going to get the latest updates as to what is happening here. We are happy to learn that all of the people who are working in this facility are accounted for. Multiple agencies are responding and doing everything that they possibly can to get this fire under control at this point.
And we're following this breaking news, again, like you said, for more than 2 hours now. So taking a look here, large fire and the wind direction north-northeast. We've been collaborating, like we always do, with meteorologist Ramisha Shade, who's been tracking the wind direction. And we are also looking at the air quality as well. And the huge takeaway here is that everyone's been accounted for, like you've been saying, Caroline, and also that this is also under control. So good news there. Again, we have been bringing you this live coverage since 2:55, 3 o'clock when this was first reported, the breaking news story from Deer Park. And it is something that we have been continuously covering on air and online as well, hearing from multiple sources.
Yeah, well, good evening to you and welcome officially to Fox 26 News at 5. We have been live on air for the past hour now. We're getting into our official newscast. This facility that you see here, the Shell Deer Park facility, located on the near Beltway 8 and 225, has been evacuated. This all happening just before 3 o'clock this afternoon. Again, this is near Highway 225 near the Beltway. Now let's go live to Randy Wallace, who's across the street from where all of this is unfolding. Randy.
Yeah, no, we had to move. We were right across the street. We were probably as close as maybe a mile from the plant. The question that you asked before, you asked Sherman, did he smell anything? When we were over there that close, I couldn't smell anything. Chandler, the photographer, is basically agreeing he didn't smell anything. We're farther now, and again, I don't really smell anything. Do you, Chandler? There's really no kind of odor in the air. It looks a lot different now, as you can see. There's still obviously some big plumes of black smoke, but this is a lot better than what it looked like before. Now, just a little bit ago, Harris County Commissioner Adrian Garcia put out a statement saying that he has spoke to the plant manager and that the Harris County Fire Marshal and Harris County Pollution Control are on site. And according to Commissioner Garcia, what he's being told is the situation is under control. All employees have been accounted for, which is great news. Now, he does urge people to just stay out of the area because there's so much emergency apparatus, so many law enforcement officers in the area. Now, they are continuing to test the air monitoring. That's what's going on now. The Community Air Monitoring Program, or CAMP, the dashboard, it is operational, and Commissioner Garcia says they should be extracting data and sending it out shortly, so we should be getting some sort of air quality control data here pretty soon. Now, of course, the cause of this fire is under investigation, and according to Commissioner Garcia, pollution control will stay out here to make sure that there's no issues. Reporting live from Deer Park, Randy Wallace, Fox 26 News.
All right, Randy, thank you for that, and good to know pollution control is there and will update us whenever we get that information. Now, we want to go back to our Sherman DeSalle. He's been out talking to people live near the refinery.
He's live right now at a nearby neighborhood. Sherman, so what are you hearing?
All right, so first, let me give you more of an idea of where we are. We're on the corner of Robin and Railroad Street, a little bit further south than where Randy and Chandler are. Matthew's going to show you what we're looking at right now. So we've been here for about 45 minutes, and when we got here, we saw some neighbors from this Deer Park neighborhood just coming out towards the end of the road, checking things out. Ran into a man named Mr. Charles. He says he's been here 61 years, and overall, he thinks this isn't that bad. And we also spoke with a woman who lives nearby, Miss Susie. She said she had learned about this from watching the news, so she rushed home. Take a listen to what she says. You weren't at home at the time, you said?
No, I just got here. I was watching on the news, and I recognized some markers. I knew where it was.
How worse than this was it before? Like, describe what it was like before.
They've had to close down all the traffic and everything. I was here when Phillips exploded, and they had to close down all that. So they closed down quite a bit.
So, yeah, that's Miss Susie. She's been here for 30 years. It's been really accommodating to us. We appreciate that. And a lot of the neighbors just been trying to figure out what's going on, how long it's been happening. Some people didn't even realize it was happening until they looked on the news or they came outside. So I'll give you the same answer that Randy gave. We don't smell anything. We definitely, we noticed that it cooled off in the last 20 minutes. It was really humid, but we really feel like a lot of that is attributed to the heat that was coming from across the freeway. Now, in regards to schools, Deer Park ISD, they posted to their Facebook that emergency officials have not called for a shelter in place because the wind is blowing away from the city of Deer Park and our schools. But now the question is, what neighborhoods should we be worried about? Ladies, I know you had mentioned that a few minutes ago before our 5 o'clock newscast. We'll be getting more information on that. And as soon as we figure those things out, we'll let everyone at home know. Reporting from Deer Park, Sherman DeSalle, Fox 26 News.
All right, Sherman, we appreciate that different perspective there. Now, meteorologist Ramisha Shade has been following the winds in this area that can have a big impact on the smoke. Ramisha.
I've been following the wind, and I've also been monitoring that smoke plume on the radar. We're looking at the radar back over the last 2 hours or so, and shortly after 3 p.m., you really started to see that smoke plume. See that big burst of yellow there? It really started to blow up as it pushed over the Channel View area. So we're still getting some of that smoke out there. there, we've got the wind blowing from the southwest to the northeast. So that means the smoke plume basically going in this direction. So up around Gilbert Landing, Channel View, maybe even western portions of Baytown likely dealing with some of the impacts and effects from that thick black smoke plume. So I'll continue to track it on radar, but definitely the radar did a great job picking up that smoke plume as it developed this afternoon shortly after 3 p.m. Current wind speeds are out of the south around 5 to 10 miles per hour for most spots, but picking up a little bit in Houston, now close to 15 miles per hour coming in out of the south, and that means that smoke plume will continue traveling to the north, likely away from the city of Deer Park. Let's check out our wind gusts, and we do have some gusts near 20 miles per hour off to our east over towards Dayton, but for the Houston area, not seeing any really strong gusts, but that general wind direction, as I've been mentioning, will be from the south to the north to northeast. So we do have that big black thick plume of smoke headed to the north and northeast away from the Deer Park area. You may have respiratory issues even outside of this situation, so it's certainly not a good idea to be out in that smoke plume. We're still not exactly sure if there are any toxins in that smoke. We don't have any shelter-in-place orders just yet, but here are just a few general tips to keep in mind if you are going to be in the path of that smoke plume. Of course, Channel View, maybe western portions of Baytown, as I mentioned, Gilbert Landing, likely in the path of this. So if that smoke plume is headed towards you, definitely try to stay inside. If you're at work, stay in your building. If you're at home, stay in your home. Try to close all of the doors, make sure all of the windows are shut. You may want to try to seal those windows if possible, and maybe temporarily you may want to shut that AC off to try to keep as much smoke out of your house or building as possible. But we've got temperatures out there in the low 90s, so you certainly need that AC. So try to do what you can to stay safe, but it is certainly a hot and steamy day out there. We've got that wind coming in out of the south around 5 to at times close to 15 miles per hour. And we also have the chance for a few storms in the forecast. No storms now, but coming up a little later, I'll detail our threat for storms tonight and throughout the weekend. And I'll also let you know just how hot those temperatures will get. But of course, I'll continue to closely track this smoke plume. We're seeing it on radar, and I'll keep an update on those wind speeds and the wind direction as well.
Thank you, Ramisha. Well, there has been some confusion this afternoon about which facility was burning.
Yeah, Heather Sullivan is live in the newsroom to sort it all out for us. Heather.
Yeah, so earlier this afternoon, officials told us that this was the Pemex plant in Deer Park, but we now know that that is not the case. And some of the confusion is likely the result of a recent sale. So let's break it down. In January of last year, Shell announced that it had completed the sale of its interest in Deer Park Refining Limited Partnership, a 50-50 joint venture between Shell Oil Company and Pemex for about $596 million. The agreement transferred full ownership of the refinery to Pemex. However, Shell Chemical said that it would continue to operate its 100% owned Deer Park chemical facility located adjacent to this site. So at the time, Shell pointed to a 92-year legacy of safety and performance at this site. According to Shell's website, the Deer Park plant deals in 3 chemicals. Some are used in plastics and pharmaceuticals. Others are used in latex paints and adhesives. So as you all mentioned, Shell issued a statement earlier saying that this incident, quote, is being handled within the boundaries of this facility and that there is no threat to the community. But that is the breakdown right now on exactly the operation of this plant.
All right, Heather, thank you for that breakdown there. I know it was confusing, but now we have it all cleared up. So our coverage of that large plant fire in Deer Park will continue.
Also coming up, why Family Dollar is recalling a well-known over-the-counter medicine, the concern about a popular pain reliever, and the World Health Organization has downgraded the COVID-19 pandemic. All right, you are now looking at live pictures that Skyfox is bringing you. This is a fire that has been going on for the past 2 hours at the Shell Deer Park facility near Beltway 8 and 225. Multiple agencies are on the scene right now working to gain control of this fire. Just 2 hours ago, the smoke out of control, deep, dark black smoke billowing in the air. It was headed towards the northeast areas from Deer Park, Baytown, and Channelview areas. A big concern. We still don't have a whole lot of information about what may be burning. Preliminary reports did say that there was some type of explosion that caused this fire. We are still learning information minute by minute. We'll be sure to keep you updated as we get that information on our Fox 26 News app and here on Fox 26. Now, we do have a consumer alert for you. Family Dollar is recalling several over-the-counter drugs for being improperly stored and shipped to certain stores.
They include the Advil Dual Action 36-count caplets and the Advil Liquid Gel 40-count. The recalled products were stored outside of labeled temperature requirements and shipped to stores around June 1st, 2022 to March 31st, 2023. Customers are advised to return the recalled products to the store they were purchased. We have more information about the recall on fox26houston.com.
Well, bad weather in California will affect what will be available at the grocery store in the coming months. Next, the items that will be harder to find, and classic board games are being redesigned for older adults.
Is everyone ready? I'll start off in English and then do a quick Spanish and then answer questions.
I'm sorry, sir. Let me get one other person.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely. I'll answer anything investigation.
We're ready now, sir.
Okay, everyone ready?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
Okay. Ed Gonzalez, Harris County Sheriff, joined here by other key partners that have been involved in the response out here. To my right, from the lead agency, the Harris County Fire Marshal's Office, I have been in touch with Fire Marshal Laurie Christensen. We have Deputy Chief Lawhorn. We have Captain Singleton. To my left, I have team members from the Harris County Sheriff's Office. We have Captain Douglas, that was one of the first ones on the scene, as well as Assistant Chief Tommy Diaz and Major Saul Suarez. What we know right now is that, most importantly, there is no off-site impact. There was no actual explosion. This was a fire. It was a heat exchange between two heavy gas oils. The fire is diminishing and contained on site, pretty much within the perimeter where everything happened at. The product is being depressurized at this time. The visible flares that we could still see from the highway, those are there simply to relieve some of the pressure. We've started opening up the roadways. We're starting now to also just other personnel that's not needed on site. They're being relieved so that they could go on to other duties at this point. So these things are always scary when they initially happen, and we're just trying to get the best information we can. We also are waiting for a representative from Shell Oil, but they're not here yet, so we didn't want to delay this press conference anymore. So hopefully they'll be coming out with some type of statement here soon to advise the public of their information. Ultimately, they're the ones that have the answers, to what's happening ongoing. And the 5 tractors that were transported, it's precautionary. It's not anything directly related to the fire, just mainly the heat and responding and again, just the heat and the equipment and everything. So it's our understanding there's no serious injuries that have been reported at this time. Brevemente, lo que tenemos aquí es que el incendio en este momento está contenido. No fue una explosión, sino un incendio. No hay impactos a la comunidad alrededor. Y fue un intercambio entre dos gases medios pesados que ocurrieron. Un intercambio entre los dos gases. El incendio ya se está disminuyendo más o menos donde pasó todo. La lumbre que todavía miran es solamente para bajar la presión de que existe dentro de los tubos. Entonces eso va a ser visible. Entonces todo por el momento está contenido. Entonces va a haber una investigación más externa para ver exactamente qué pasó. 5 personas fueron trasladadas al hospital. Nos dice que están en buena condición. Fue más relacionado con el calor y la respuesta y todo el equipo que tienen puesto ellos, pero no era realmente algo de impacto del incendio ni nada de eso. Also want to mention that I had been in contact also with County Commissioner Adrian Garcia. I know he had been in contact with Deer Park Mayor Mouton as well. So this has been really a multi-agency response. This is the way we respond to all scenes of this magnitude, and thankfully for the moment it appears to be contained, and again, no threats to the community or anything. If there's any specific questions, I'll probably defer to our partners at the fire marshals to answer any more specific questions, but I'll give it a shot. Harris County air pollution is out here on site, so they're monitoring that right now. So far nothing has been reported. I think we have a representative, so if she wants to join us as well. Harris County Pollution Center is here as well. They're always on site and do a terrific job, so they could answer that. Do you want to maybe respond to that real quick about the pollution control and your name and title?
Hello, my name is Kamisha Saunier, and I am the Deputy Director of Harris County Pollution Control Services. And currently the emergency response team is out there and they're doing monitoring. And we also have air monitoring, which is our RAM is also out there. And so you all can always look at our website where it will show where all the points are dropped at if we have any type of problem. Thank you.
Have you had like any dashboard information that's like available yet, or you still?
Yes, it's actually
compiling
on our website.
We're not seeing any impacts at this time.
No, not at this time.
that? How long will you all kind of be here monitoring the situation?
Actually, we plan on monitoring until the fire goes out.
And what if they told you what chemical was burning?
We're gonna. I'll have to get back with you on that.
Have they not told you that?
They probably have. I just got on scene. My apologies.
No problem.
Sheriff, you said it was something about a heat exchange. Could you repeat that? What caused
Yeah,
the fire?
it was described to me as a heat exchange that occurred between two heavy gas oils. So I don't know if one of you want to touch on what a heat exchange can cause.
Captain James Singleton, our initial report was that they were working on the unit, and this unit processes a cracked heavy gas oil. As far as how it was caused, we're still under investigation.
Do you know the name of that unit?
No, the properties, this facility is owned by Shell. Don't have the unit name.
Was there no explosion? Was that the case? No explosion otherwise?
There was no explosion. There was a leak that ignited shortly after the initial leak.
And they were doing like routine maintenance kind of things going on, or what was that?
That I'm still trying to determine. We're doing interviews right now. It's a little early on, but we are doing interviews right now, and we're waiting to gain access to the site once the fire's out.
So the people who were injured were where in relation to the fire?
Don't have that information right now.
And are you satisfied with the level of communication you're getting from the facility?
Yes, I would say that Shell's been very cooperative so far, and we're getting good cooperation.
Does anybody put information on the care line anymore?
That would be up to Shell.
Yeah, that would be up to the facility to do that.
So it was 5 contract employees, is that right? And
It's our understanding there were 5 contractor employees.
And they were just, it was a precautionary.
That's what we're told. It was precautionary, primarily due just to heat exhaustion type things, just the natural heat of the day and the fire and proximity and things like that, but nothing where they're seriously injured. That's the preliminary information we have.
Yeah, to your knowledge, no one was burned in the fire.
To our knowledge, no one was burned.
Do we know what about the fire with these water chemicals?
But before we do, we have some preliminary information on the gas. I wanted to just update real quick. Again, it's still preliminary. It's like a precursor to. It's one of the products that creates the gas or develops.
Correct. It's actually a hydrocarbon, which is a heavy gas, which is a precursor to production of gas and diesel. Thank you.
The mayor described it as burnt carbon or something like that.
Yeah, I think all of that, a lot of that will really be once we, our fire marshals and Shell could give more information. Again, I was hoping that they were here. We were waiting, give them some time to get here. We didn't want to delay at least giving you some information, and that's why we came on board.
It sounds like people that live in the immediate area were never under any danger. There was no shelter in place.
There was nothing of that sort. If not, we would have mobilized pretty quickly. As I mentioned, Captain Douglas was pretty much on ground zero pretty quickly. He was here pretty quick and would have alerted us. We also have our industrial liaisons, our deputies that are from the Harris County Sheriff's Office, very experienced. They're pretty much on site. I went on site by where the fire is taking place right now. I was in very close proximity, so we had conversations. So everything appears to be under control.
Tell us what you saw, Sheriff, when you were standing.
Yeah, we have the SEMA command post there. Again, it's unified command. We could see the flares in proximity, but I didn't see any raging fires at that point anymore. Did you want to add anything, Captain? Okay.
Sheriff, ¿sabemos si van a venir las autoridades de Shell a hablar a los medios de comunicación?
Los invitamos que vinieran. Parece que estaban escribiendo un statement para dar, y también los invitamos. Yo pensaba que iban a llegar aquí en tiempo, pero no están. Al final es la propiedad de ellos y ellos tienen que responder para los hechos que pasaron ahí.
Tardamos cerca de 2 horas en recibir información oficial para informar a la comunidad. ¿Hubo una buena comunicación entre los directivos y las autoridades?
Sí, pues nosotros sí pusimos algo de información inicial, lo que íbamos aprendiendo. Nunca dijimos que era algo necesariamente impacto a la comunidad, aunque yo sé que hay angustia. Entonces ellos últimamente al final son los que tienen que decir, pero sí hemos estado nosotros en la escena donde pasaron los hechos. Entonces yo pienso que la comunicación siempre está bien, obviamente que siempre puede estar mejor. Muchas cosas están pasando muy rápidas. Cuando estamos hablando que personas fueron trasladadas, estamos tratando de disminuir el peligro. También hay personas que están monitoreando el aire. Entonces hay muchas cosas pasando y siempre quisiéramos ser un poco más rápido, todos que están respondiendo, pero también queremos tener las cosas factuales.
Given the amount of smoke in the air, I guess I'm surprised that there wasn't a shelter in place without a payment. Like, what is there anyone that can speak to the level of why not today?
Anybody want to speak to?
Did that
maybe?
have to do with the direction of the wind?
I read the advisories from, I think, LaPorte and Deer Park both said that there wasn't a very strong wind that was necessarily moving anything. Everything was still contained. And then once they determined what it was and that it was pretty much, they started depressurizing everything, it basically is putting itself out in a way. There wasn't a concern that it was going to spread and there was no impact. The flame was contained. And I don't know if anybody wants to give anything more detail than that.
Who's the one that makes that call?
It would be the unified command that's on scene. Who makes that type of call if there would be a concern?
The authority having jurisdiction.
Yeah. So in this case, it would have been you all, right, to determine.
Actually, it would have been the local fire department, the fire chief, or the police chief.
Yeah, if they felt that it was an actual threat to the rest of the public.
And when it first happened, they were talking about, did they evacuate all the employees, and then did people? What happened then? Did they?
They started trying to account for everyone, and it was our understanding that everybody was accounted for, and folks that ran from that initial perimeter where everything happened. As big as it was, it seemed pretty much contained inside the facility. It's a pretty large complex. It took us quite a bit to navigate our way into the hot zone, if you will, and so it was pretty much contained there, and everybody had already been moved back.
Do you have any idea how many employees, people were in the kind of immediate area when it happened?
No, that's something we're going to have to probably timeline, and Shell will have to provide. Yeah.
Somebody from the fire marshal's office. I mean, so this has been described as routine maintenance. So then, what could have happened to spark a fire if this happened? This routine.
In the early reports that they were doing maintenance, in this type of event, you can easily have a leak of product, and it can easily find an ignition source. Tools can be used that cause spark. There have tools they're supposed to use that don't cause that, but it's going to be part of the investigation as we're looking to find out what the sequence of events was. Was there a leak prior to the fire as being initially described?
Is there a lot of damage to that particular area?
From our vantage point, there's been a significant fire, but we've not been close to the unit due to the safety concerns so far.
You said you had to interview people. Do you have any idea how many people you need to talk to?
That'll be part of the investigation. On an investigation such as this, you're looking at a large number of people that have to be interviewed. Everyone that was at the unit at the time of the fire, the controllers, management, anybody that called 911. There's a significant number of interviews involved in the investigation.
How long is it going to take?
I'm making plans for the weekend. We'll be out here a while.
I also want to just briefly thank all the first responders that did show up out here, from all the local fire departments to the police departments. I saw Precinct 2 constables, Deer Park Police, other agencies, obviously the Sheriff's Office, and really appreciate everyone. That they may not physically be here with us right now, but they've been responding and assisting.
Ma'am, from pollution control, do you mind, could you step to the mic? So, your PIO was telling us about the monitoring that you're doing, the vehicle monitoring for vehicles. I guess you're in channel view doing. Can you kind of talk about that, please?
Actually, I'll have to get back with you if you don't mind.
Oh, yeah, because they told us it would come from the presser. So,
Okay.
Do you have several
I just got on
monitors?
scene, but we do have several
Typically
monitors
what-
out there. Actually, we have like our emergency response crew. It's actually boots on the ground, so they're out there dropping points and doing monitoring. And then we also have a RAM that's also taking monitoring points all over within the Channelview area, just to see what exactly they pick up on.
And that'll be on the website?
Yes, everything is on the website.
Do you know the latest numbers by chance?
No, but I can get them to you after this press conference.
So when you say on the website, you mean the readings will be on the website?
Yes, the dots.
But again, at this point, there's no concern. Right?
I will be able to let you know that after this press conference.
But you did say that the initial observation, you weren't picking up anything.
Correct.
Yeah.
I don't know if anything has happened as we speak now.
Yeah.
But before then, we haven't picked up anything.
Okay. All right. Thank you all. Gracias. They were supposed to. We delayed it a little bit to let them come.
What can you do?
I know.
Thank you.